Hi there. This is my speech on tenure regarding educators in the United States, and this is being presented to the Association of American Educators. Now, imagine you land your dream job, and not only that, it is in your favorite city. You get a good salary and some benefits as well. The only small problem you find within the job is that some of the other employees with the same job title that have been working there significantly longer than you aren't treating their job with respect. But it's their problem, not yours, right? Now, 1 year into the job, everything is running smoothly, when all of a sudden you get fired for no good reason other than you didn't fit well amongst the other employees, and now you have to look for a less than perfect job and more than likely have to move cities. Not only that, but you realize that your other senior coworkers never got fired or punished, even though you feel that they were less driven to do well in their job. Teachers face a very similar issue when it comes to the topic of tenure. Tenure is awarded to teachers after a probationary period over many years that solidifies their employment and protects them from being fired without just reason. Tenure often makes it hard to get rid of bad teachers due to this protection, and also makes it difficult for newer teachers to properly be able to learn how to effectively do their job. Many newly hired teachers without tenure often feel that they are working to impress their employers rather than learning the educational environment that is needed to properly teach. Now, has anyone had a grumpy old teacher that makes you wonder how they got hired in the first place? I know I have. But as a matter of fact, many of those grumpy old teachers started out as young and driven intellects that only changed for the worse due to their protection under tenure and worked in a pessimistic environment. Although the idea of tenure provides a sense of security in a job placement, its execution needs adjusting. Many individuals in the career of education that have tenure still advocate that there should be a change that not only holds those with tenure accountable for poor practice, but allows for the flow of more driven teachers. Today, I will share with you why the American Association of Educators should make changes in tenure policy. Tenure can cause problems that lead to poor reputation among schools and a lack of accountability amongst bad teachers, but also prevents teachers from actually learning how to teach properly. In the scholarly article, Tenure Issues in American Higher Education, by the reference librarian Barbara Wales, explains the issues of tenure in higher education. Wales explains that tenure was originally made to preserve academic freedom and economic security. It goes on to explain that over time, tenure grew more and more lenient and gave teachers more power against their employers. Tenure can give leeway to teachers that could potentially damage the school's reputation more than their own. In an article from the Los Angeles Times, it shows the absurd security of tenured teachers that they have in their job. In a section of the article, it explains specific reviews against teachers that manage to keep their job. In one of the reviews, Commission believed it was too harsh to fire a tenured teacher that had a stash of pornography, marijuana, and cocaine on school campus. In another review, it took 4 years of reviewing a teacher that was accused of child abuse and failing to conduct her class to fire her. As absurd as these verdicts sound, this is not uncommon for tenured teachers to get away with these acts, many of which never reach review because districts find them a long and costly task. Tom Rademacher, a high school English teacher, gave a TEDx talk regarding his critiques on tenure. He explains that in his beginning probationary period before obtaining tenure, he spent more time working to impress his employers than he did actually learning how to properly teach. The fact that he did not have tenure worried him to overwork himself on jobs that didn't make any positive impact on his actual career of teaching. This just goes to show that these teachers are not being properly trained to be good in their profession, but rather indirectly forced to focus on matters that no one else would like to tend to, which will create a cycle of bitter seniority and poor teaching. Therefore, the American Association of Educators should work towards changing the policy of tenure by holding bad teachers accountable and easing stress off teachers without tenure in order for them to properly become good educators. As we work to properly hold bad teachers accountable for misconduct in the classroom, this prevents the overstepping of boundaries from teachers in an already very lenient policy. In an article on Time, The War on Teacher Tenure, it explains the struggle with tenure and its difficulty with terminating bad teachers, which directly undermines a student's ability to learn. Along with this, if we give more leniency towards teachers without tenure, then this will create more of an opportunity for them to grow as educators. With this balance of power over tenure, it would create a more positive environment in the educational system. Maybe for some, tenure shouldn't change its policy and should be kept as is. Some may believe that if a teacher is bad enough, they will be fired, or that teachers without tenure should just suck it up and work harder. In the journal, Tenure, Why Faculty and the Nation Need It, it discusses that tenure requires great effort to achieve, and that's why the benefits are in much favor for the teachers who have tenure. Tenure is very important to teachers and educators. As I said before, it provides academic freedom and economic security. For those with tenure should have to earn it, and it is meant for those who are committed to education. However, this should be taken more seriously, as it is common for people to have bad experiences with teachers. People don't experience this just once in their life, but it is common for people to have a bad experience with a teacher every year while in school. Imagine an education system that brings a positive environment for people to learn, and where bad experiences with educators are a rarity. With a change in tenure policy, we will have the balance and power in education that provides a reputable way to educate. With this change, a cycle of driven and optimistic teachers will be more suited for those willing to learn. If this policy continues on, the cycle of bad teachers will continue and will not be able to provide a proper education. This cycle could possibly make things worse as teachers continue to abuse their tenure. Today I've shared with you why the Association of American Educators needs to work to make a change in its tenure policy. This is important as it will create a better way for students to learn and teachers to master their craft in a positive way. As some of you all have probably had your fair share of bad teachers, I am sure you wouldn't want the same for the future generations to come. It is important to perfect the education system so that we can continue to have more intellects in the world. I encourage you all to make this change by attending board meetings for school districts in your own towns and speaking on this issue of tenure. It not only makes a positive impact on teachers, but prevents a negative impact on students. Thank you.